Before we talk about the making of the television special Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, we need to go back to its start in the late 1930s. A gentleman by the name of Robert L. May was working for a store called Montgomery Ward in Chicago, Illinois. He was an advertiser and copywriter for the store. He was approached by his boss, who asked him to come up with something he could give away to customers during the Christmas shopping season. May came up with a clever storybook idea that takes place on a foggy Christmas Eve of a reindeer that would help Santa deliver gifts, guiding him with his bright red glowing nose. His boss hated the idea. This was because in the 1930s, a red nose meant you were associated with heavy drinking. But May came up with more ideas for his story and had an illustrator draw the reindeer in such a way that his glowing red nose became a big help to Santa in saving Christmas. During this time, May changed the name for his reindeer 3 times. First he liked the name Rollo, then Reginald, but finally chose the name Rudolph. His boss liked the changes and gave the go-ahead for the project. The book giveaway promotion became an instant hit with Montgomery Ward customers starting with the 1939 Christmas season. Montgomery Ward continued the free promotion for many years. They had given away over 6 million copies and would have given away more had there not been a paper shortage during World War II. Unfortunately, the shortage put an end to the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer giveaway. May was passionate about his story, so in 1947 he acquired the rights to the story from Montgomery Ward. This gave him the ability to publish a children's hardback book version. He also asked his brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, if he could write a song based on his book. Marks wrote a song in 1947, but did not think it was good enough at the time. In 1949, after reworking the song, Johnny Marks decided it was good enough to send off as a demo to music promoters. He was hoping that a big-name singer would like it and that it would be recorded. Gene Autry listened to the demo, but ruled it out, saying that it did not fit his cowboy image. However, Audrey's wife, Ida May, who was enthusiastic about the song, asked him to record it as a personal favor to her. Audrey took his wife's advice, and as luck would have it, the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer became the biggest hit of his career and in the history of Columbia Records. In 1950, Gene Autry created a Christmas album with himself and Rudolph on the front cover. The album sold 2 million copies that year. It still stands out as the second best-selling Christmas album of all time next to Bing Crosby's White Christmas. After the song became a hit, May's book took off, selling 30 million copies. So now that you know the background, let's get into the television special. In 1962, William Soloff, who was vice president of General Electric Housewares Division, wanted to do a Christmas special, and he knew right away that it was going to be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There were 2 main reasons for this. First, he knew that the story of Rudolph was going to have its 25th anniversary in 1964, which would give him time to create the Christmas special, the commercials, and promos. Second, and more importantly, he knew he could get Robert L. May's permission to use the story. This was because he worked with May at Montgomery Ward and became good friends with him back in 1939. May was interested in his idea, but did not want another 7-minute cartoon like Max Fletcher did of his story in 1948. He also voiced concerns about not wanting 9 reindeer leading Santa's sleigh, 8 being the original reindeer and the 9th being Rudolph. This was because over the years, some started nicknaming his story Santa's 9th Reindeer. Soloff told May not to worry. It's not going to be a cartoon, but a new type of stop-motion animation called Animagic. He showed May a scene from The New Adventures of Pinocchio, which was produced by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass. May was impressed and gave Soloff the go-ahead for the television special. Videocraft International, later known as Rankin Bass Productions, were given 18 months and $500,000 to produce not only the television special, but all of the General Electric commercials and promos to go with it. Arthur Rankin knew that the original Rudolph story would be too short to create a 50-minute special, so he and scriptwriter Romeo Muller rewrote a version that would address May's concerns as well as adding new characters and locations. The solution was to move the timeline from when the original 8 were pulling Santa's sleigh to one where they are older, no longer pulling, and have their own families. So now Rudolph's dad is Donner, and Clarice's dad is Comet, who, by the way, has a job as a flying coach for Santa's sleigh. They also changed the number on pulling Santa's sleigh to 7. This way, Rudolph is in front, clearly leading with his red nose, and would also put an end to the nickname Santa's Ninth Reindeer. They also created new characters and locations, which included Rudolph's girlfriend Clarice, an elf that wants to be a dentist named Hermie, a miner by the name of Unicorn Cornelius, an abominable snow monster named Bumble, Sam the Snowman, and the Island of Misfit Toys. With the script written and the storyboarding done, next came the music and voices for the story. Johnny Marks's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song was already going to be used in the television special, so it made perfect sense to see if he would be willing to write all the other songs. He was hesitant at first as to even where to start, but after reading the script and looking over the sketches to guide him, ideas started flowing and he cranked out song after song. And they were wonderful songs like Holly Jolly Christmas, Silver and Gold, There's Always Tomorrow, and many, many more. After the song instrumentals were completed, it was time to add the voices. Many are surprised to hear that all the voices for Rudolph except for Burl Ives are all Canadian. Jules Bass had worked with these talented voices on other productions, so he already knew that these were some of the best radio voice actors in the business. 41-year-old Billy Ray Richards was picked for the voice of Rudolph, as she was extremely talented with younger voices. Larry Mann was the voice of Yukon Cornelius. Mann was also going to be the original voice of Sam the Snowman. He had even completed all the speaking and singing parts before Burl Ives got involved in the project. Ives was a well-known and respected actor at the time, and having him involved was like hitting a home run for the project. They simply took out Mann's voice and replaced it with Ives. Since they had not started filming yet, they decided to customize Sam the Snowman and make him look like Burl Ives. They also made sure that the opening credits in the production had Burl Ives' name front and center. Many are also surprised to hear that none of the animation sequences were done in the United States. All of the dolls, sets, and animation were created and filmed by Mom Enterprises of Tokyo, Japan. Tahito Makanaga, better known as Tad, handled the production design, and Hiroshi Tabata was the lead animator. Arthur Rankin was also in Japan during this process to supervise both the film and the commercials. He always loved working with the Japanese puppet makers and animators as they gave great feedback and bounced off ideas. Over 200 puppets were created for the special. The heads and torso of each figure was carved out of wood. This was because it was lighter and therefore easier to control during animation. The joints of the puppets were made of lead and copper wire, which were padded with cotton and polyurethane. In the case of Rudolph, his eyelids and irises were made using finely shaven leather. Rudolph's exterior was made of thick piled white wool that was dyed brown. His hoofs were made of wood and had holes drilled in them in order to affix them to the sets. The biggest problem during production was the fight to keep the puppets and sets from collecting dust and dirt. The animators all wore white gloves, and the figures were sprayed with a magnetic spray flock to diffuse reflections for the camera. The production and the commercials were completed in the summer of 1964. William Soloff of General Electric was extremely pleased with the results. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer made its debut on NBC on the General Electric Fantasy Hour on December 6, 1964. The ratings for the television special were wonderful. NBC was happy and GE was happy. The end. Well, not quite. This was because weeks later, thousands of letters were sent to NBC and GE complaining about the program. Why did Santa not go back to the Island of Misfit Toys after Rudolph promised he would? The writers had made a critical mistake. It was just assumed that when Santa took off that he would stop by and pick them up. But Santa never said he was, and there was nothing to show Santa was headed in that direction, so it came across to many that Santa just forgot. NBC and GE knew that they had a holiday hit on their hands and promised to fix it. In 1965, there were additional sequences added where Santa lands and picks up the Misfit toys, Then the toys parachute off of Santa's sleigh to be delivered. However, to get all of this into the same time frame, other sequences had to be changed. One clever idea was to change the end credits to have the toys jump with the parachutes while Santa drives his sleigh. This certainly helped, but there were some scenes that had to be cut. One of these scenes was when Unicorn Cornelius discovers a peppermint mine. And all this time while growing up, I thought he was after silver and gold. Since GE was paying for the changes, some supervisors said they did not like the song "We're a Couple of Misfits." They thought the song was too bleak, and so they asked that another song be written. So a short song called "Fame and Fortune" was written and took its place. So that's why when watching the annual television special, some scenes are different. Today, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is still the longest-running, highest-rated TV Christmas special of all time. You can enjoy it year after year as CBS now owns the exclusive rights. We hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes look at Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and we hope that you'll enjoy it with your family for years to come. Thanks for watching.